This is Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum.
Well, when you're selling, you got to know who your buyer is, and you got to know how to market to them. I do.
And Dan Keller, mortgage expert with New American Funding.
Hey, rates are important, but strategy matters more than ever.
For the next hour, you'll learn impactful insider information as Christian and Dan teach about the ins and outs of Seattle's real estate market. Now, here's Christian and Dan.
Hello, hello. Happy Monday, everybody.
Monday.
Monday. Is that even the lyrics of that song?
It's a song. Yeah.
I don't know
if I
ever,
out of.
I don't know either. I just made that up. That's kind of what I do on this show.
I'm hung up over our new intro.
I know.
Dude.
It's a little funky funk.
It's funky, but I like it. It's good for a Monday.
Yeah, I like it. Hopefully everybody is going to wake up after hearing that.
Yeah.
It is what time is it? 3?
Better not be asleep right now. I like it, though.
Yeah, I like it too. I like it. It's a little more our style.
Yeah.
Rather than the
the news break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't really us.
Well, welcome to Seattle Real Estate Radio.
We got to remember the name of our own show.
It's seriously, that intro's got me rattled now.
I know.
It's
I'm a little
kind of jacked up.
Yeah, that's cool. I
do
like it. We got some more surprises throughout the show. It's going to be fun. I got one for you too, Dan. Don't worry.
Lord.
Yep, you're gonna be surprised. Just wait.
I'm open.
Just wait. All right, so it is Monday. This is Seattle Real Estate Radio. This is KKOL 1300 AM or on iHeartRadio. So everybody that's out there, we really appreciate the fact that you're listening to us. Hopefully, and the goal of the show is that you will actually learn something. That's the whole goal. That's why we're here.
The goal is you'll learn something, you'll spread the word, you'll share what we're sharing, share what we're talking about.
Share what we're
sharing. What we do every single week, though, when we're going to talk about this in a minute, what I did last week, what we did actually
I think
together.
this is a good segue.
You want to go into it right now?
Let's just go into it.
Okay. So you and I both have a pretty good book of business. I think that's the most professional way to refer to our past clients. Some of the things that you and I do that are a little bit more unique than other small business owners is we actually have relationships with our past clients.
Yes.
Okay. So what I like to do on a monthly basis, one of the big reasons why I said yes to the show is that we could create relevant commentary or content on a weekly basis.
Exactly.
And I'm kind of taking it, I guess, offline or off the field. And what I do on a monthly basis, try to on a monthly basis, is do what's called wine and wisdom type mixer or social. It's very informal. And I invite my clients out to it. I'm going to open the open tab, come out and have a drink or two, and we've got really good food.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring in an expert, and they're limited to about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And
just like all our classes, they're all short
and sweet. You can stay out. Well, we stayed after till almost 10.
Yeah.
But
that's just because people want to talk to us after the fact and go over their specific situations and get some questions answered and all that stuff. But that's the point of it. But the actual program only usually lasts about an hour.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this one was really good. I focused the mixer around investing and investments. And obviously you're one of the most successful real estate investors. We've talked about it on the show. We've had your mentor on.
I don't know about one of the most successful, but I am an
most
investor.
Knowledgeable.
Put
it that way.
Okay, sure.
Knowledgeable, successful.
I'll take that.
But hey, it was good. We had you kind of open up. We talked a little. I had you talk about, I kind of teed you up a little and drilled you a little on it, but talked about how do you get started.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you get started? Finding the right home. You spent a lot of time actually talking about the light rail.
Yep.
And buying in certain areas, or investing in certain
my whole
areas.
thing is you got to look for opportunities. Where is an opportunity for you to buy a property that maybe is the same price as anything else anywhere else, but in the future is going to be worth more than everything else?
Yeah. And the light rail happens to be a big center of attention right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty obvious one.
Running north and
and south, and east.
So, you spent some time talking about that, and great feedback, by the way. I haven't even had a chance. We've been so busy. I haven't had a chance to really even talk with you about some of the feedback that
I haven't heard
received.
anything.
Great. It was great. It opened up some eyes. One of the guys was there. One of my clients was there. We're refinancing his home right now, and he sent me an email, and he was just like, wow. And he's a contractor. Nice. He's built homes before he actually built his custom home.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I learned a lot. He was, thank you so much. And he was like,
Nice.
I'll definitely be in touch with Christian after the refinance regarding a couple of his rental properties. So, and then a couple of other clients stayed and talked with you. And
Yeah.
So
I had some good
it was
conversations with people after the
Yeah.
fact, and hopefully they got something out of it. I mean, again, that's the whole goal of pretty much everything we do.
Yep.
Get you up to speed on what you need to know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, so you also, in addition to me, you had Matt, who is a financial planner.
Yeah, we had Matthew Ross with, he is with Raymond James. Yeah, very credible financial planning firm. And he's been in the industry for about 14, 15 years. I've known Matt for a long time and known his family for a long time.
Did you guys play baseball together back in the day?
I think my dad coached him or something. Way back in the day, we had that connection. But, I've worked with a handful of his clients, strategically helping them refinance to, reposition equity. And a lot of I've sent some clients over to him. He's going to be on the show, by the way.
Nice.
So he just confirmed on Tuesday that he's going to come on. They have a lot of
compliance things,
regulation, and compliance.
Yeah.
So he'll be on. But yeah, he talked about just from basic how to get out of debt. One of the great questions he gets asked all the time, and I do as well, is I just can't seem to get ahead.
Yeah.
I'm budgeting, I'm following, for example, Dave Ramsey to a T, and I've got them envelopes, but at the end of the month, I'm digging myself a deeper hole.
Yeah.
And so we kind of talked about that and building a plan around that, and then
I liked how he kind of said, the Dave Ramsey system is a good maybe foundation, but you need to. It doesn't work perfectly for everybody. You kind of need to tweak it, and he's like, I'm here to help you figure out how to tweak that to make it actually work for you, because it's a good foundation, and you need a foundation, but it's not necessarily the way to follow to a T, because it doesn't work for everybody.
It's a good playbook, but we all know this. Playbooks, depending on your opponent, get enhanced or modified. So, he talked about starting there and then starting, with just basic investments like your 401k. If you work for an employer that's going to match, take them up on that. Match.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
exactly.
And a next step further with Roth IRAs and then life insurance, term and perm, and went into some more detailed stuff. But the really great thing about both of you guys and having these little socials is you opened up the audience to questions, a Q&A period. You opened it up to, hey, what is on your mind?
Put us on the spot.
Yeah.
What do you got?
It was pretty powerful.
What question do you have in your mind that we just peaked in your mind?
Yeah.
So, I liked his little story about that. Hey, you gotta plan. And then he tells the story about the 60-year-old guy that got laid off, could not get a job, didn't have a pension, didn't have a retirement, didn't have anything set up, and how he went to a bank and handed him a note that said, "Give me $80.
I'm robbing your
bank. Give me $80." And then he proceeded, after the teller gave him that, he proceeded to sit in the lobby until he got arrested by the security guard. Like, dude, you just robbed the bank. And he's like, I know. And then they arrested him. And then the judge was like, okay, well, you get 2 to 3 years. That's your sentence. And he's like, okay. And then the judge is like, what the hell are you thinking? Why did you do that? And he's like, well, I am 2 years away from Social Security. And I don't have money to live. And this is a way to get 3 hot meals and a place to sleep for free. Until I can get Social Security. And that's what he did.
And he talked about planning and having a plan. But the funny thing is, that guy had a plan, and he planned. But check this out. So he researched law and understood that he did not have a weapon. He researched the amount that he needed to steal and how he did it. He did not resist. So he got the minimum. The minimum was what, 2 to 3 years, and served it. And his point was, planning is crucial to your success, but having the right plan
is a bigger deal.
A plan that pays out. And his plan very well.
At least he planned. We got to give him credit for that.
But our guest, here's the thing. Our guest left with you starting your presentation on, start with the end in mind. That's a plan. And then Matt saying the same exact thing.
Exactly.
So there was a common thread there, and I know you guys met at the event.
We met in the parking lot walking in.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any clue what he was talking about. And
it worked out.
I didn't really have a clue what I was talking about walking in either. So
it was powerful. We got great feedback. So great job there, man. But
yeah, it worked out well.
Yeah, that's what we've been up to. What have you been up to, man?
I've just been working my booty off, man. It's been tough.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a client last week that, I mean, every single price range in Seattle, it seems like, just has a ton of offers on it. And this was, we're talking the $1.25, $1.3 million, and there were 9 offers, and it went for $200,000 over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every price range. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's
The
just
night,
the way it
you
is.
told me that, I went home and I was talking to Jenny about it, and she was like, "What? Multiple offers at 1.35?" And I was like, "Yeah, we weren't even close, actually."
Yeah.
And we were a couple $100,000 over asking price.
Exactly. We weren't close.
And she's like, "Holy cow!" She was like, "I thought that just happened on homes that you're getting deals on." I was like, "No,
No.
that's
No,
crazy.
that's pretty much everything.
Wow."
Yeah. So, and this is so. Well, maybe you should tee me up for my housing minute, because that's kind of what I'm going to talk about real quick.
Well, let me tee you up.
All
it's
right.
time for. Okay, look out, people, because now Christian has access to sound effects. Without any further ado, it's time for Christian's real estate moment.
There you go. So, what day was that? Thursday, I went to the Rental Housing Association of Puget Sound's Economic Forecast Breakfast, which was pretty cool. It was at the Red Lion in Bellevue. They had he calls himself the unintentional economist, which I think we might have him on the show. He was brilliant.
Was he?
His name's Paul Cunnington, I think, or I believe that's his name. I don't have it written down, but he gave some great stats. One of the interesting takeaways is where the money is flowing from and into the U.S., so other countries. He's basically hitting on the fact that it's a global market now, global economy. And he was saying that 47% of the money coming from another country is coming from China.
Wow. Not a surprise.
Not a surprise,
No,
but
that
pretty
the number,
insane. The next country was like 12% or something like that.
Wow.
It was just not even close to being in comparison. Another interesting stat was China over the last 3 years has used as much concrete for building homes as the U.S. used in the entire 20th century. That was insane.
Wow.
So their real estate boom might be hitting there sometime soon. So,
wow.
So today's show is all about energy efficiency. So we are going to have an expert from Washington Energy on. We got to take a quick break, but as soon as we come back, we are going to have on Tyler Heagle with Washington Energy. So stay tuned to Seattle Real Estate Radio.
Stay tuned. There's more Seattle Real Estate Radio coming up here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL. We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
All right, welcome back. You are listening to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300. We are here every single Monday.
Yes,
from
we are.
3 to 4. Christian,
Monday.
he's asked me to remind everybody that we're here every Monday. If you don't already know. No, we're here every single Monday from 3 to 4, whether you're at home, in your car, wherever. You hit us up.
You're jogging around Green Lake, whatever you are.
If you're listening on the radio, though, we encourage everybody to hit up on your phone, iHeartRadio app. I think it comes in clear.
Yeah,
Over
it does
there.
a little bit.
It does.
I mean, AM radio,
Yeah.
it's tough to.
Yeah.
It's always that way.
Yeah.
They don't come in super clear. It's like listening to a baseball game, every once in a while. It gets
Yeah.
all fuzzy and stuff. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the beauty about baseball, though.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways, today we have a pretty great guest. I'm excited about this because I have tons of clients that ask me questions that relate to his expertise. So today we have Tyler Heagle. He is a home performance manager at Washington Energy Services, and he runs the Home Energy Audit Division. Yeah, so he's
Nice.
talking home energy audits. He manages a team of BPI certified energy auditors and installation crews. He's been at Washington Energy for 7 years and is heavily involved in the Northwest home performance industry. So, Tyler, welcome. Thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited. I think our guests are going to learn some good things, get some good takeaways from you today. So, thank you very much. So first off, let's just do super basic. This is what we always do. We do 2 segments with you. The first one's kind of the 101, like really intro, basic knowledge. So let's lay that foundation. Next segment, Dan's going to come back and do some more in-depth questions. So
Great.
first off, tell us, what the heck is a home energy audit?
So a home energy audit is a really great service to get at your home. It is usually a 2 to 3 hour comprehensive inspection of the home.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're looking at is areas of the home that are inefficient and cause comfort and health concerns.
Okay.
So through the inspection, we use building science, and we look at the house as a system rather than individual pieces of the home.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
what you get out of it is a really in-depth, smart report that shows areas that you can improve your efficiency and comfort and health.
Nice. So give me an idea of what it looks like when you come in. So say that you're going to do one on my house.
Yeah.
You come to the front door, you knock on the door, I let you in, then what happens?
Yeah, so we start with an interview with the homeowner,
Mhm.
and we talk about areas that they feel are cold or, if the issue is utility bills.
Mhm.
We try to dial in what the reason that they're having the energy audit for.
Okay.
Some people oftentimes want them because they just purchased or are about to sell a house.
Mm-hmm.
And so we dial that in, and then we walk around the home with the homeowner because they're the ones that are most aware of what's going on in the house.
Yeah, we know where the drafty windows are.
Exactly, yeah.
And we know the cold rooms in the house. And
Exactly,
Yep,
yeah.
Yep.
So then
Happens
after
to be
that,
my master bedroom is always the coldest room for
master
some reason.
bedroom, it's always is it above a garage?
No, actually,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not. But good question.
So after that, we get into our testing,
Mhm.
and the testing that we do looks at, it's a myriad of tests. We start with the equipment, and we measure the efficiency. We check for any gas leaks, make sure that it's combusting properly,
Mhm.
and then we move to the unfinished areas of the home, such as the attic and the walls and the crawl space.
Okay.
And in those areas, they're oftentimes overlooked, and it's really great to get in there and see the level of insulation, air leakage, ductwork, all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
And that whole time, we're taking a lot of pictures and recording a lot of data.
Mhm.
And we will also wear like a GoPro camera so that you can come along for the
Much like this.
ride. Yeah, much like this.
With our Skycam up here. That's
Yeah.
what we call that. Yes.
And then we wrap it up with some air leakage testing of the house. We do what's called a blower door test.
Okay.
And that test tells us exactly how leaky a home is.
Mhm.
And using some other tools like infrared cameras, we can
So
really spot it.
I've heard and I've seen that a lot of that like air leakage comes from a lot of times like the outlet covers. Is
Yeah.
that true? Is that because that seems like a random spot to do it, but it kind of makes sense at the same time.
Yeah, it's actually, there does, a lot of air does or can infiltrate through outlet covers, but
Mhm.
sealing up the outlets has proven through a lot of testing that it's not quite as effective, because if you think of that wire that goes behind that outlet, goes
Mhm.
either up into the attic or down into the crawl space,
Mm-hmm.
and then all off to the meter. So if we can seal up that hole in the attic or the crawl space,
Yep.
we are in turn sealing up the walls.
The entire wall. That
Yeah.
makes more sense rather
Yeah.
than doing just the actual outlet.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because otherwise, it's just going to come through that wall anyways if there's no insulation in there. So
Exactly.
that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm assuming that a lot of the leakage, air leakage especially, is coming windows, doors, any other random spots that people don't think about?
Windows and doors are always a big one, but the attic, the unconditioned areas where when they were building the houses, pre-2000s, air leakage wasn't really a part of the plan. It just
No,
wasn't
not at
really
all.
known.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of construction flaws with electrical penetrations, mechanical penetrations, anything that would connect the unconditioned areas and the exterior to the conditioned areas. So there's always quite a lot of those.
Okay. So in Seattle, what are kind of the most common energy wasters? What would you say?
The most common energy wasters in Seattle, it varies by house, but generally insulation and air sealing, so just weatherization, are a big one that's oftentimes have some of the best return on investment if you are fixing that. And then also the equipment, depending on what type of equipment you have, would be also the top of that list.
So I'm going to recap what you just said. So basically, insulation in the attic and the crawl space, essentially, those are kind of the two big ones. Beef those two areas up. And then after that, maybe windows and doors? Is that what you're kind of saying? Or
Yeah, you always kind of start with the shell of the house. You can kind of think of it like a car. if you had an old car from the 80s or 90s,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't really want to start with replacing the engine in it with a brand new engine.
Mm-hmm.
It would be kind of a silly way to invest in your car. Rather, you want to look at what you can do to air seal and insulate, and then you can upgrade the equipment inside.
Got it. That makes sense.
Smart. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of the other big ones that we run into are old refrigerators or extra refrigerators in garages and freezers.
You mean the beer fridge?
The beer fridge in the
yes.
man cave is a big one. And then, water heating systems are also a pretty big part. But most of your utility bill goes towards heating.
Mm-hmm.
And so through weatherization, you can really reduce that.
So
I got a question on the water heating.
Hey
Yeah. Well, so we essentially built our house from scratch in 2013, and so we had the whole here's a water heater option versus these little tiny
the instant hot.
Yeah, the tankless
with tankless
tankless.
water. Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you talk about that real quick and the pros and cons from a energy efficiency standpoint?
Yeah, tankless water heaters are great. They're a couple of the best things about tankless water heaters are that they last a long time. So a typical 50-gallon water heater lasts about 8 to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
The DOE, recommends replacing them within that time frame. So a tankless water heater will last, 15, 20 years plus as long as you keep it serviced. So you see some savings there if you can look at it like that. You only really have to buy it once.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do combust and heat the water more efficiently.
Okay.
So
Which kind of makes sense because, you got a 50-gallon water heater. You got to continuously keep all 50 gallons heated all the time.
exactly.
Whereas with the tankless, you're just heating up whatever you're using at that moment.
Exactly.
So it makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how I explained it to people too.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. So you said servicing those. How often do you need to service the tankless water heater?
Some of the manufacturers recommend doing it every couple years or every 2 years, and then some of the manufacturers recommend waiting until there's an issue and then having it serviced.
Okay.
So that, I guess, sort of speaks to how
well
tough they are.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're purchasing a piece or investing in a piece of equipment like that, having it serviced every 2 years is always just a good idea.
Yeah.
Can't hurt anything.
Exactly. And it doesn't cost that much. And
Yeah.
you're probably going to extend the life of it anyway and the efficiency of it. So
Absolutely.
it's going to pay for itself in the long term. So on average, do you have, and I'm kind of throwing this off the cuff, do you have any clue how much people end up saving every month if they listen to every single energy tip that you give? Do you have any clue what they end up saving?
Yeah, so that's actually a kind of an interesting question, and it's sort of an interesting answer. But so what we use,
I'm going to find it interesting, Tyler.
So what we use is modeling software that models, or we do a utility analysis in the beginning of the audit, and we see what your bills were for the last year, and then our software we input the square footage of the home, the equipment, the insulation levels, and then with that we also input the areas that we're planning on improving, or that you might want to improve. So that will give us a percentage of utility savings that's estimated. So it is an estimate, and like 2015 with the audits that we completed last year, we saved, according to the modeling, an average of 21%, which is pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Through both weatherization and equipment. But it's kind of comes down to that question of how efficient is energy efficiency. So if you buy the most efficient heat pump on the planet, and then you start cooling your house to 55 degrees in the summer because you want to be comfortable, then your utilities are going to go up because of it.
Yeah.
So it's really in the end up to personal usage in the home.
I'm going to jump in right now, and we're going to come back in a minute from our break and spend a little bit more time on this. But I wish, having gone through this, building a home, I wish I would have been able to lean on somebody like you versus a contractor. Yeah. Because I'm just telling you right now, I'm in, 8 minutes? I've already realized I made a bunch of mistakes. And I say this with some of our guests, but I mean, seriously, in regards to what you just said on the heat pump. I mean, they built us out with this enormous heat pump. But it's so, powerful, and I think that heat pump could heat a skyscraper or push air through a skyscraper, and we've got a 3,000 square foot house. So, those are some of the things that I would have preferred to meet with somebody like you to get more spec type info and then go out and purchase it. Same thing with we went with the opposite. We did not go tankless because we were steered in a different direction. And money, I don't want to say money wasn't an issue, but money wasn't the factor there. It was more the wrong variables we were looking at. So this is big. This is I can't wait to jump in and just drill you with some more.
I can see you over there getting antsy.
Bring it on.
I don't say I'm drooling, but I'm ready. I'm chomping at the bit.
That's funny. So, I think when we come back, do you have any questions that you think you're gonna team up with?
Yeah, I want to talk more about the heat pump and AC.
Yeah,
I think that's a big. It's a big topic right now.
Yeah, I think so too, especially with our summers recently.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. We are going to take a quick break, but we will be back with Tyler Heagle with Washington Energy Services, learning more about energy efficiency. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. There's more Seattle Real Estate Radio coming up here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL. We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300 AM. We are here. I can say that word.
Holla.
That was funny. Good job, Dan. Getting me to laugh. You just like hearing me laugh, I think.
I love your laugh. I need more of it because I can't drink any more coffee, and I'm just struggling today with energy.
Anyways, we are here with Tyler Heagle with Washington Energy Services, and he is a home energy audit expert. The expert, I would say, because he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
So, Dan, I know you got some burning questions because we just kind of briefly talked about it in the break real quick. I was like, dude, just ask this on air. This is great.
Yeah. Well, I think this is relevant whether you're a first-time or younger home buyer or you're a homeowner. I think this is a relevant conversation to have, or at least information to know
for anybody.
For anybody, But for people listening right now, let's say obviously you're not in the car and you're not at work in your cubicle. If you're at home right now and they're on iHeartRadio listening to us, and you have them walking through their house, direct them in maybe three places right away that they need to look at to possibly make their home more energy efficient.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So the first place I would say is into your home office or wherever you do your bills.
Okay.
And take a peek at your bills.
You're tricky.
That's a good one to start.
Nope, that's good.
And the other thing would be to walk into the areas that you spend the most time in. So the living area, if you have a TV room where you hang out with the fam, the kitchen, and then the bedrooms that you live in. And a couple of ways that you can start to decide if they're uncomfortable or if they need more work is just kind of feel. So if there's draftiness, if there's a lot of dust on the countertops, if you have a dusty home, that almost always means that you have a ton of air leakage going on. And then draftiness is a really common complaint that we get. So just kind of being cognizant of where you're feeling those drafts. And
if you're sitting on your couch and you can feel a gust of wind blow past you and no one else is home, you got it. You got a little drafty of house.
An interesting thing too is a lot of people have been living in their homes for maybe 3, 5, 10 years, 20 years, and you get really used to those feelings that you get in your home.
Yeah.
So a big thing that we find is that during that walkthrough, during an energy audit, homeowners, they don't initially know where the major problematic areas are, but because they're just not
paying attention to it.
They're used to it. They're used to getting home and throwing on a jacket. So walking around and really feeling where you're uncomfortable. And, we all live in these houses for a long time. They're big investments for our families. We raise children there and cook food and do all that good stuff. So as a homeowner, you deserve to be comfortable in your home, and you deserve to, have that home be efficient as well and healthy.
Yeah.
And it's a good place to start.
Yeah, and financially, too.
Yeah.
Financially healthy. If you're overpaying or losing money. Let's recap real quick since we're on this topic. So I love this. So if your home is higher end on the dusty level, it may raise a red flag that, hey, you may be experiencing some air drafts.
You want to hear another cool one?
Cobwebs.
If you're looking up like in your skylights, you see some cobwebs or the corners of the rooms. spiders, it's kind of the poor man's identifier for air leakage. So spiders put their webs where there's air movement because they're trying to trap their meal for the day.
That makes sense.
That's a big did you know. That's cool.
Yeah. It's kind of there's a lot of things that you can really kind of pick up on.
I mean, as you're showing homes to people, these are great.
Exactly
this is huge, man. This is great. Okay. So in recapping though, so if you see signs of air drafts or air leakage, I know you talked about this on the first segment. Where do those commonly? Okay, now where do I look? Recap that.
So where you see the air leakage, where you would look after,
or if you go inside your house and you're like, yeah, we do have a really dusty house, or
what do you do?
What do you do? Where do you look right away?
Yeah, so where you would want to look is in there, or where you would find those areas that are causing that are in the attic and crawl space, and walls kind of third place. And it's all of those little holes, all of those gaps and cracks and seams, and sealing those up with like spray foam. And this is a lot of stuff that homeowners can do on their own with a couple cans of spray foam. They can get a lot done in crawl spaces and attics if they're willing to jump up those. Areas.
Most people aren't. But.
Well, So for example, if I saw in our house, if I saw up in a corner some spider webs, I could potentially think that above that or around that there's air leakage. So if I were to go up in the attic, head over in that direction, just kind of just start spraying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spray and pray.
Can lights would probably be the most the easiest way to envision that.
Got it.
So can lights are inherently very leaky.
Love it.
And so if you were to go up in the attic, you could see that can light and seal it up using spray foam or a box or some other ways.
This is really helpful. This is great info. Okay, I'm a financial guy. I'm a money guy. What are the tax breaks, man? Are there any tax breaks on energy efficiency?
Yeah, so the local utilities have some really great rebates from Puget Sound Energy, PUD, Tacoma Power. A lot of great rebates, and they're instant rebates too. So you get them right off the contract.
Nice.
Which is a big benefit. And then there's also federal credits and incentives that kind of change every once in a while. You can write off a lot of these home energy improvements on your taxes. So
nice.
So let's backtrack real quick. You said you get the deductions or the breaks right off the contract. So like if they buy an energy efficient appliance, you just turn it in. Talk to us about the process.
Yeah. So for utility rebates, for the instant rebates, they have weatherization rebates. So and then they also have equipment and windows. So if you were to get new attic installation, if you qualified for that rebate and you signed up with a contractor to get it done, a contractor like Washington Energy Services, 1-800-390-HOME, we would have that that $600 rebate taken off the contract at the bottom
the initial
price.
Wow.
Okay. So that's my question. You have to go through. What are the proper steps that you have to go through in order to make sure that you get that rebate or that refund?
Having working, a lot of the utilities have contractor alliance or contractor network. So Puget Sound Energy, for example, has a contractor alliance network. And to qualify for those rebates, there's a couple metrics that you have to hit as existing conditions. And then you have to use a contractor within their network.
Is there a website?
Yeah, Puget Sound Energy. PSC.com. They have a lot of great information on the rebates, incentives. There's rebates for fridges, you name it. So
Seattle City Light,
City
Public
Light,
Utilities, same kind of deal.
PUD, all of them.
Great.
And then any contractor, they're incentivized to offer you those rebates too because it's cheaper for the homeowner and they want to do the work.
So I have, since we're talking efficiencies and maybe some rebates and everything, let's talk money and savings. So when we built our home, we, for example, we purchased out on some acreage. So we weren't tied into city or county gas lines. And the house was a 1927 farmhouse. It still was set up to be fueled off of oil.
Nice.
So
there's a lot of houses in Seattle that still have oil.
Now, did we make a mistake by removing the oil tank and removing oil and going with propane?
Absolutely not. Getting off oil is always there's always a better option, whether you go through another fuel source like gas or electric.
Good.
Propane, when you have to get propane, you have to. It's because of the area that you live in.
Yeah, you just don't have the line in the street.
So you always have the option of going electric. Propane, the only kind of downside to that one would be that the price of propane fluctuates a lot.
Yeah.
But other than that, you can still get the same very efficient equipment to burn that type of fuel.
So let's talk about heat pumps real quick, because I get this question a lot. What the heck is a heat pump, and how does it work? And is it the same thing as AC, or what?
Yeah, that's a great question. So heat pump technology right now is it's going through the roof. There's a lot of really great stuff happening with heat pumps. I don't know if you've ever heard of ductless split systems.
Yep.
But they are, building a lot of new construction places with just ductless and just heat pumps.
Yep.
And whereas natural gas has always been kind of the prevalent source of heat in our area. So heat pumps are great. They both heat and cool your house. Whether you have a dual fuel system or not with natural gas, they're going to run the majority of the year and use the outdoor air and convert it into either heating or cooling, and through the air handler blow it into your house. The difference between a heat pump and an air conditioner is an air conditioner just does cooling and does not do heating.
Okay. So they are probably the most efficient use to heat and cool. More efficient than AC, better than just a furnace.
So
what would you say?
So you would want to compare it between gas furnaces or gas heating and electric heating. So heat pumps are super efficient, but there's also really efficient gas heating products. So it depends on kind of the utilities and what you have existing in your house.
Yeah.
So if I have a furnace and we do not have a heat pump, but we want AC, is that an option? And how do you do that? Or do you have to have a heat pump in order to have AC?
No, you can. If you have a furnace, you can get either a heat pump or air conditioning. So if you had a very efficient, 90% efficient furnace, then sticking with an air conditioning unit would be the best option.
Okay.
And then if you had a standard 80% efficient furnace, then you could throw in a heat pump, get the benefit of that air conditioning, and also benefit from the efficiency of the heat pump.
Awesome. Okay. Well, this was valuable. I want to give our listeners some information on Washington Energy Services. They're dedicated to making your home great. They offer a number of energy-saving and comfort-enhancing products that will help you save money and live more comfortably. They install everything they sell with their own employees, meaning they're fully accountable for the success of all their projects. This month, they're featuring 20% off cooling products such as heat pumps. This is cool. Yeah, heat pumps, ductless heat pumps, and air conditioners to try and give their customers a head start on the busy season. That's coming up. That's why we wanted to.
Last summer. I mean, that's all you got to say. Last summer.
Yeah.
Woo!
Past couple summers have been.
I know, it's been
fairly
hot.
warm. Yeah.
Very, very hot.
So, I mean, this is an opportunity to get a head start before, and obviously a discount, because there's no discounts when everybody wants to upgrade to AC, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
3 months backed up because they're booked, and you're burning in your house.
Yeah. So, visit their website, WashingtonEnergy.com. It's really simple, WashingtonEnergy.com. You can also reach them, 800-398-4663. Their information is going to be up, obviously, on SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. This was a valuable, very valuable segment. Man, we were pretty lucky to have you come on.
Yeah,
anytime.
Or any other last-minute tips, energy efficiency-wise, or things like that you'd like to share?
Yeah, get an audit. Every homeowner, every structure, having an audit's beneficial if you're planning on doing any type of work or not. It's a great way to.
Do they cost anything? They free? What's the deal?
Generally, they cost between about $200 and $500. Cool. Our audit is currently $199.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Tyler Heagle, Washington Energy Services. I appreciate your time. Stay tuned to Seattle Real Estate Radio. We will be right back.
Stay tuned. There's more Seattle Real Estate Radio coming up here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL. We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL Business Radio 1300 AM. It's one of my favorite times of the day. Let's see if I hit the right button.
My gosh,
this is awesome.
You're teeing me up.
It's Dan's Mortgage Minute.
It's the Mortgage Minute.
Woo! Let's get some updates on Mortgages, Dan. What's
Yeah.
going on out there? What's the latest?
Yeah, lots going on. I think what we've seen and what I wanted to talk about today is that we've kind of, leading up to last Monday's broadcast, we've been seeing an improvement in interest rates, and an improvement down into the upper threes, mid threes, depending on which loan program and points.
And what's your MLO number, by the way?
Yeah. My name is Dan Keller. I am a licensed mortgage originator. MLO number 115349. I have to say that per compliance. So if our compliance department happens to be listening in, boom, it's knocked it out.
Good job, buddy. Good job.
So hey, listen. Up until this last week, I think we have been seeing a gradual, every single week, a gradual improvement. If you followed our shows, you've been hearing me talk about that. I think, in my opinion, and I've been really cautious of this. Again, go back and listen to episodes. I think there was going to come a time where we hit that ceiling, or if we really talk about it, the floor of support, meaning I think this is as low as we're going to go for now until something drastic happens. Major announcement with the presidential campaigns. There's so many things that could affect
So many
that.
factors out there, yeah.
I think we found our support. Okay, we found our support. This is at the technical level of approximately, and this means nothing to you, but the Fannie Mae 30-year bond that we look at, right around 102.5-ish. We were solid at 103. That was about 4 or 5 days ago. So what that means to you guys is where we see 30-year fixed rates right now, we've plateaued for about the last 4 or 5 days at that level. We've come down, meaning rates have increased a little, and they're set there. So, right now, we're still in the threes, but we're seeing a support level that I think we're going to be here for a little while. So, which is good news. I mean, you take that combined with home values appreciating here in the Seattle area, with rates in the solid 30-year fixed rates in the solid threes, Christian. It's the recipe for. If you just look at home affordability, it's better than it's been in a long time. And so,
well, I know my clients are happy because the ones that are buying right now, they're going, well, sweet, I can now afford $40,000 more or $50,000 more, and I'm paying the same every month.
Yeah.
And depending on where they were looking at before and what interest rates were at before, but
as compared to renting,
Yeah.
One of the things I did want to talk about, just for capping me here at 30 seconds, we don't need to spend a ton of time on this. I am seeing a ton more 7-1 arms.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're locking. Where I'm getting, and I always, when I have initial conversations with home buyers, I'm talking home buyers, not refinances. I let them go into, when I ask them what they're looking for in a mortgage, but what are your short-term and your long-term goals? The conversation is going, well, we're interested in more information on a 10-1 or a 7-1 arm. And a lot of them, the 7-1 arm, ridiculously low money, free money almost. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah,
Where are they at?
In the
MLO
upper
number,
twos.
MLO number, Dan.
MLO number 115349. But we're, depending on credit score, depending on down payment, depending on jumbo mortgages or
so
conforming.
Like under 3? So you're looking at 2 somewhere?
Yeah, I just locked one last week for a client at 3125.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's just stupid cheap.
But they said there is no way we will be in this house in 5 years. We will not have
So
it.
at that point, it makes sense.
So 7-1 arm covered their risk, and so anyways, we're seeing a lot of those hit the market. They're not bad loans, and I want to preface this
for the right person,
for the
in
right
the
person.
right situation.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're not bad, and they're not like the 7-1 arms, the interest onlys, and the negative AM arms that got people in trouble. These are, you qualify at the full AM, the full rate. There's a lot of criteria that goes into it, Christian, but pretty good loan program if it fits into your financial plan.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't fit for everybody, but it might fit for you. And if it does, you can actually save quite a bit of money doing it that way.
Exactly. So I thought I'd just bring it to everyone's attention. We're seeing a lot more of those. So
good.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I would clap the button again, but I don't remember which one it was. So I want to talk about Tyler Heagle with Washington Energy Services again real quick. So I know you had a few aha moments when we were just chatting with him. What was kind of your biggest aha that you wish you would have known 2-3 years ago when you redid your place?
Yeah, I think just having the advisor, somebody to say, here's the benefits of this, here's the benefits of, so for example, the water heater.
Yeah.
We listened to our contractor. I may have asked one other person, and which was the sales rep at the appliance store. And I didn't, much like you and I and how we operate our businesses, I think we educate people on their options and we allow them to make an educated choice. And we support that either way.
Yep.
And we give our feedback when needed. But I don't think I got the right advice.
Yeah.
We were steered more toward a tank versus the tankless.
Well, I will say this too. 2-3 years ago, they were more like $4 or $5 grand. Now they're like $1,500 to $2 grand, maybe $2,500, depending on the range.
Yeah.
So they have dropped in price quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Now I know. I mean, I have clients that they were going to swap out. They just bought a house. They closed on it 2 weeks ago. The water heater was about 12, 13 years old, something like that. So it's nearing the end of its life. They generally last 10 to 12 years, 8 to 12, depending on the size of the family, maybe up to 15 years if you actually service it, which no one ever does. But they were looking at the cost differential between replacing it with a normal tank or swapping it out for a tankless. It was like maybe $800 difference. I mean, it's really not that big of a difference anymore. Yeah. And the fact that you don't ever run out of hot water.
Yeah.
So you can be doing 3 people showering and you got the dishwasher going and you're doing hand washing dishes and you're not running out of water. I mean, that's kind of a big plus for people.
Big.
So,
yeah, I think advice is big. Regardless, if you're buying a home, getting a mortgage, if you're upgrading your appliances, just be picky on who you get your advice from.
Trust. Yeah. Do your research on who you trust.
Yeah.
And that's why we try to educate you guys, the listeners, with some advisors that we think are worth trusting.
Well, I think it's huge now. If somebody asks me that question, much like, what do I do with my IRA? Should I do this? Should I do that? I deflect it to a great financial planner that I trust and I know. I'm going to do the same thing now with appliances. It's or home efficiency. So,
no, and I thought that was so at the very end, we kind of slid in there. I threw in the question, how much does a home energy audit cost? He said normally $300 to $500, but right now they're doing it for $200 or something. Is that what he said?
$199, I think he said.
Yeah. That's pretty dang cheap. I mean, it seems like you can save that much money pretty quickly if your home is not very energy efficient.
Well, I'm going to start working it into my mortgage planning meetings, Christian. I do a debt analysis with all my clients, and it's debt that doesn't show up on your credit report. So, hey, how many Starbucks do you buy a week? How many times do you and your family go out to dinner? Little things like that. I'm going to factor this into it now. So I think it's it's a worthy investment.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Hey, talk to me real quick as we wrap up the show today. I know we've talked about this a little in the past, but you mentioned something earlier about Seattle being in the top 10 most densely populated areas.
So it creeped into the top 10 list of the most densely populated cities in the nation. So we had never been in that list before, ever.
Who are we in good company with? Do you know?
So San Francisco is number 1.
Okay.
They have, I think it's a little over 18,000 people per square mile.
Okay.
Seattle, we're eking in at number 10, and we have almost 8,000 people per square mile. And this is all information from the census data from 2014. Yeah. So, and so Seattle's density has increased almost 10% since 2010, which that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And it's growing.
I know, and we're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's. I mean, I personally, for transportation's sake, I appreciate the dense factor.
Yeah.
Density factor? Does that make more sense?
Yeah, density factor,
Yeah, so I like that because it's going to reduce traffic. It's going to make it easier for people to have a better lifestyle because you can just walk to stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I see a lot of my buyers, that's what they want. One of their biggest wants in a house is, I want a neighborhood. I want something I can walk to. I don't want to have to get in my car to go everywhere. I don't want to have to drive to a coffee shop or drive to the grocery store. If I'm cooking dinner and I need more garlic, I can just run out the door, take a 3-minute walk, get to the grocery store, pick up some garlic, get back home, and my food.
Well, we talk a lot about millennials, right? And they're coming. A big percentage of them are coming into the market, and that's one of the top stats with millennials.
That's what they want.
want.
It's so true, and it makes sense. I mean, that's how I want to live. I mean, it's more fun that way.
Good show today, man. Great job.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
Yeah.
I like it. So we are back every Monday from 3 to 4. Apparently, we're also being syndicated on Saturdays now from 5 to 6. So that's cool.
That's a promotion, baby.
We just got promoted. Whoop. This is fun, man. I think we had a great show today.
Great job.
If you ever have questions, definitely check out SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. And this has been Seattle Real Estate Radio.
To contact contact the show or for more information, visit SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. That's SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. And be sure to tune in again next Monday at 3 for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller, right here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.